Before the 1997 release of Batman and Robin, Batman had been a pop culture icon for decades, evolving from the campy 1960s TV show to Tim Burton's darker gothic take in Batman 1989 and Batman Returns 1992. However, after critics deemed those films too dark, Warner Bros. Pivoted to a more family-friendly, merchandise-driven approach by hiring Joel Schumacher. The result was a neon-soaked, over-the-top disaster that prioritized toy sales over storytelling, ultimately tanking the franchise until Batman Begins 2005 resurrected it. Batman and Robin is infamous for nearly destroying the Batman franchise. It combined the campiness of the Adam West era with corporate-driven filmmaking, resulting in the over-the-top disaster. The film even acknowledges its own commercial nature, with Poison Ivy stating,
"That's why every Poison Ivy action figure comes complete with him." Try not to make a mess when you die.
A line that unintentionally highlights how much of a movie was designed to sell toys. Despite its star-studded cast, massive budget, and the weight of franchise expectations, Batman and Robin 1997 is widely regarded as one of the worst superhero movies of all time. Director Joel Schumacher doubled down on the toy-driven approach, filling the movie with jokes that sounded like action figure catchphrases.
The Iceman cometh.
The weight of franchise expectations, Batman and Robin 1997 is widely regarded as one of the worst superhero movies of all time. Director Joel Schumacher doubled down on the toy-driven approach, filling the movie with jokes that sounded like action figure catchphrases. Visually, everything was a neon-drenched mess, with absurd set designs that made Gotham City feel more like a theme park than a dark, crime-ridden city. Instead of maintaining the gothic and grim tone of previous films, Batman and Robin felt more like a flashy, overproduced TV show. One of the most infamous aspects of the film is the addition of nipples on Batman and Robin's suits. The bizarre design choice became a pop culture joke that the movie will never live down. The actors' performances in this movie are abysmal and wooden. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze delivers almost every line as either an ice pun, a reference to his wife, or both. His performance feels more like a walking joke than a genuine villain. George Clooney, who was a beloved actor at the time, completely lacks intensity in the role of Batman. He delivers his lines with the same charm he's known for, but it feels out of place for the Dark Knight. Meanwhile, Chris O'Donnell's Robin, despite being a grown man, spends most of the movie acting like a whiny teenager, constantly arguing with Batman. Alicia Silverstone's Batgirl is a wasted character, barely relevant to the story and only showing up at the last minute to help in the final fight. Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy, on the other hand, is completely over the top with exaggerated movements and a dramatic delivery. However, at least she seems to be having fun with the role, which is more than can be said for most of the cast. Batman and Robin tried to juggle too many villains and subplots, making the story feel cluttered and unfocused. Mr. Freeze's tragic backstory with his dying wife could have been compelling, but it was buried under layers of ice puns and campy dialogue. Poison Ivy's eco-terrorism plot felt disconnected, and Batgirl was introduced out of nowhere only to get a few brief moments of action. Meanwhile, much of the movie was filled with Robin constantly arguing with Batman, whether it was about trust, leadership, or his ridiculous belief that Poison Ivy actually loved him. Instead of feeling like a dynamic duo, the relationship reduced to endless bickering. To make matters worse, the film's pacing was all over the place. While action scenes were fast and flashy, the moments in between dragged on, making the movie feel longer than it actually was. Instead of being an engaging superhero film, Batman and Robin ended up feeling like a disjointed mess that couldn't decide what it wanted to be. With too many characters, nonsensical drama, and sluggish pacing, Batman and Robin failed to tell a cohesive story. But the biggest problem wasn't just the bad writing, it was that the movie was never meant to be a story in the first place. It was designed to sell toys, and that decision came at the cost of the Batman franchise itself. Warner Bros. Pushed Batman and Robin to sell action figures, leading to excessive costume changes, an overwhelming amount of gadgets, and of course, even more ice puns. The infamous Bat card scene took things to an absurd level, making it clear that the film was way more of a toy commercial than an actual story. The movie bombed so badly that it killed plans for Batman Unchained, the next sequel in the franchise. As a result, Batman was forced into a long hiatus until Christopher Nolan revitalized the character with Batman Begins 2005. In the end, Batman and Robin became a case study in what happens when studios prioritize merchandising over storytelling. Batman and Robin 1997 is one of the worst superhero movies ever made, but it's also bad that it's almost entertaining. Despite its failure, it serves as a fascinating example of how Hollywood completely misunderstood Batman. However, if there's one good thing that came out of it, is that without Batman and Robin, we might have never gotten the Dark Knight trilogy. Whether you see Batman and Robin as a disaster or a so bad it's good masterpiece, it's a movie that refuses to be forgotten. If you enjoyed this breakdown, stick around, there's plenty more to dive into.